control. Touch grass, relax, at least wait for a daily close. Keep your marbles intact, appreciate the cycle lows. Manage your risks, set stocks, let time just do the rest. Meanwhile, look forward to another Camel Finance episode to distress. Ask your partner to consider your privacy. Just don't mention your love for charts, will be seen as rivalry. Devote yourself to the cycles, treat them as your muse. At some point it will pay you back in life-changing views. Touch grass, relax, at least wait for a daily close. Keep your marbles intact, appreciate the cycle lows. Manage your risks, set stocks, let time just do the rest. Meanwhile, look forward to another Camel Finance episode to distress. Left translated cycle or not until November to attest. Uncertain future, have an open mind to be your guest. Some will win, most lose, we'll all have to respect. Left translated cycle yourself and get absolutely wrecked. Emotions rise on the way to every high and low. Every day a chance to let your composure grow. Create a mental, spongy, bulletproof vest. If a black swan event arises, then GG for the shorts at best. Touch grass, relax, at least wait for a daily close. Keep your marbles intact, appreciate the cycle lows. Manage your risks, set stocks, let time just do the rest. Meanwhile, look forward to another.
On. Is that on? I think you can hear me now, right? Hello. Good morning. How are we all doing? We are live, so surprise. Yeah, Danny's got it. Somebody says, am I day drinking already? No, I'm not. I'm not. It's not one of those days. I'm actually having a self-care day today. So that's why I wanted to go live, because frankly, I'm feeling a bit lazy. I'm feeling a little bit lazy. I don't really feel like making a video, editing it, doing all of that stuff. So I thought what I'd do is, thanks for confirming you can hear me. Thought what I would do is go live. You guys will do like a Q&A or something like that. Usually between you guys and me, we figure out something interesting to talk about and look at. And then I'm hoping we can do 45 minutes to an hour, maybe. And then, like I said, I'm going to go and do some self-care. I feel like I need to work out, meditate, maybe do an extra dog walk. I'm just feeling a bit off. I woke up like 4 or 5 times in the night. So yeah, and it's Friday. I don't really trade on Friday. The cycle lows are the cycle lows. So yeah, I'm just going to have an easy day. I'm just going to take some time and chill out today. I'm going out for dinner with my wife and her friend later today. So yeah, that's my day. I'm just killing time until 6 p.m. and then I get to take 2 beautiful women out for dinner. So super blessed. Yeah, I tell you what I'll do. Whilst we wait for you guys to think of some questions, I'll run through these tabs. This is what I came up with. This is what was going to go on today. The first thing I wanted to point out is we'll quickly shield this indicator. The indicator is great. People continue to have excellent feedback. So thanks to all the people that are using it. Thank you to all the people that seem to really enjoy it. It's actually been really well received. And we just added, let me see if I can do this. It will be this bit here, log in. We just added a new section, a new feature, let's call it, which is still kind of early in the development, but I think you're going to like it. Again, it's another one of those things the community requested and we added. Somewhere in here, I can remember where we put it. Oh, I think it's down the bottom. Where did we put it? Additional resources? I'm sure it was in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. I went over it multiple times. Down the bottom, your trade and diary, right? We just added this. And so this will give you all of these things here. We've got a risk calculator template. We've got a trading log for you to track all of your trades and potentially the indicator signals. It will build you an equity curve over time and keep a net and a log of everything of this. So that's a new feature we added. Hopefully that will be useful to some of you. Going forward, I asked this. This isn't quite finished running yet. This is only 600 odd votes. But I asked people, I was quite curious about this. Has trading or investing ever reduced you to crying like a little girl? And I was kind of expecting something around this, I guess. But I know a lot of people were saying like, oh, what are you doing? You must be doing something wrong. But I would argue you have not been here long enough, or you don't want it bad enough if you have not been reduced to tears yet. In the 15 years I've been doing this, I'm not ashamed to say I can think of at least 2, if not 3 times I sobbed like a baby girl. And I suggest to you, if you only had a career of 2 or 3 years and you haven't had that moment yet, then brace yourself, because it's probably coming, I would think. So anyway, we'll let this poll run. We'll discuss this more at a later date. The main thing for me is I think we're in trouble, right? To be completely honest. I showed this the other day. It looks like we've got all the familiar symptoms of a weekly cycle low and capitulation volume, right? But we really need these lows to hold here, because if they don't, I think that's it, the top's in. And wait, this is a Bitcoin thing. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. Oh, that's a Bitcoin thing as well. You can see how organized I am today. Excuse me. Oh yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, here's the other thing. We've got the American Association of Individual Investor Bears 4-week moving average in the S&P. Okay, so we've also coinciding with this, right? This capitulative low here and the declining volume and the weekly cycle low. This has all occurred on record bearish sentiment, which is a good thing to help find a bottom. And at the same time, we got something else which is a record with 4 weeks above 55% bearish in the AAII bull bear index. Now, why is this so significant? Because you can see here when we had this kind of signal, which has only happened 3 times before, each time it marked a bear market low, okay, here, here, and here. So, tells us to keep an open mind about these lows holding. But as it stands right now, okay, I think we're in trouble. I think we're in a little bit of trouble here. And these lows really, really, really need to hold. Otherwise, this was correctly labeled initially as the weekly cycle. We got daily cycle 1 failure, and we're about to get daily cycle 2 failure, and then it's all over. So I do think the risk is pretty high here. We really, really need this to be the weekly cycle and to come swinging out of here. Otherwise, like I said, we're going to be in quite a lot of trouble, in my humble opinion. And then the last couple of things I wanted to show you was Bitcoin. So we've got Tech Dev letting us know that global lick and the business cycle indicator are both in a buy side setup. Okay, so hopefully there is more gas left in the goose. Hopefully that was not the top already. And as we can see from this right here, we have got breakout, retest, possible resumption to the upside for Bitcoin. So long as we can hold this level, then technically everything is still healthy. Again, very similar to the S&P. It's kind of now or never, right? And the last thing I wanted to share with you today, I think it's the last thing, yeah, it is, was these rectangles, okay, the breakouts from the rectangles. Have a look at this, 63.1% resulting in success from the rectangle. Now, I've got a video in the tutorial playlist showing how we drew boxes. It's like I'm trying to think where we could do one. Here's one. Where price moves up, we get a range box and then a range break out the top of there, and you're buying here with a stop below the low, right? I've got a whole tutorial in the playlist on that strategy, but I've never actually seen it quantified like this before. And this really, really, really made me quite surprised at just how powerful those rectangle breaks are, because notice how out of the 63% that succeed, okay, first of all, that's a really, really, really good win rate in trading. But notice how 30.3% type 1 breakouts, okay? Type 1 breakouts, remember, let's say this is the breakout level. Type 1 breakouts never come back for a retest. 20% type 2, okay? And type 2 is breakout, retest, resumption. And type 3 is the hard retest, okay? Which is, let's say this is a breakout level. Hard retest means we break out, we retest all the way back through and then go, resumption, rather than breakout or retest onto support and resumption. And then, of course, type 4 is failure, okay? But that's pretty good. That is really, 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 really good odds. So if anyone is struggling, then maybe try a rectangle out. Maybe just try that. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say, other than, and of course, based on this rectangle, this doesn't really qualify as a rectangle, but this is a type 2 breakout so far, right? Breakout, retest. It's not a hard retest yet, and therefore, all we need is resumption, happy days. Pretty similar to this, right? At the hard right edge for the stocks, that is so far, hopefully a cycle low, breakout, retest, looking for resumption. But again, you can see we're kind of in a danger zone here. So that is my current presentation. I'm going to have a sip of this creatine, and then we'll answer some questions. Yep, the song is a banger. That's one of my favorite ones, I think. What else? What else? I'm really behind on comments. Friday with the boys. Yep. Can we chart Fartcoin? I don't think so, if I'm honest. Is the ticket to freedom as simple as listening to a wise camel, trust in the indicator? Not really, no. The ticket to freedom is self-mastery. It's self-mastery. The indicator can help you. It can speed the process up. You can tune in every day and try to take something from it. But really, that's not going to help. You have to master yourself so you can manage risk. Pumpy or no pumpy? I don't know, man. I actually don't know. I really don't. David Hunter is, yeah, he's been bullish. I've never seen him bearish, really. 7,500 in the next 3 to 6 months. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that would speak to all of this being an expanded flat, right? Expanded flat 4. A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, C. And then that whole thing is the 4 before the 5th. That would speak to that. But I don't know. I really don't know. Because it's really not going to take much. That's all it's going to take. And that's pretty much over from a cycle perspective. So I don't know. I don't know what David Hunter's invalidation is. I don't think he's ever really said what his invalidation would be. And maybe he doesn't have the same sort of invalidation as a trader would have. Hey, Nasco. No, you didn't miss anything, brother. Thanks for being here. We're just chilling. We're hanging out today. Gonna chill here for an hour or so. And then go and enjoy the Friday. Current stance on alt season, no changes. I still maintain we're not going to get a broad-based alt season. It seems like that call has been correct so far. I still think if we're going to have any hope, let's turn some stuff on and off. We'll turn this off. Turn off the cycles. Where are they? And turn on this. I still think, oops, if this is in play, and we're running out of time for it to be in play, aren't we, if we're honest? But if this weekly cycle low and double is going to continue to work, right? Weekly cycle low, double, weekly cycle low, double, blah, 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 blah. If we've got a double from here, that puts the target at about 160-ish K, okay? So not quite as high as this red box. It would probably, I don't really want to adjust it, but it would probably be about here, 160-ish. If that's on the cards, then, as I've said before, I would think Bitcoin, again, steals the show on the way up. And then as it tops for its weekly cycle and starts to pull back into the next weekly cycle low, I think in here is where we might start to get an alt season if there was going to be one. And if there's not going to be a broad-based alt season, I would think at least in there, okay, in this neighborhood here, is where we might get to see some Bitcoin rotated into ETH. And maybe those ISO coins, because I say that purely because they've led on the way up, right? Things like HBAR, XRP, I don't know if ADA's one of them. I don't really know. I'm not an altcoin guy. But those ISO, whatever it is, 200, 222 or whatever, those coins have shown leadership because they've already pumped when a lot of other stuff hasn't. So leaders lead and laggards lag. And thus, I would think, if Bitcoin can do this, people will sell their Bitcoin and try to chase ETH, assuming everything is healthy under the hood, because, of course, maybe, like, you know, we've got a global recession unfolding and the stock market cratering and all of this kind of thing, in which case probably not going to happen. People won't want more risk. But if all the stars align, it's in this neighborhood that I would think some Bitcoin gets rotated into XRP, HBAR, those ISO coins, and Ethereum, if it's going to happen at all. But I know a lot of people in here are calling for ETH to start to outperform. Excuse me, ETH to start to outperform, and I don't think that's likely. I don't think ETH would outperform here. I think if it's going to, it would outperform here and maybe here as well. So that's my thoughts. I still don't really think we can have a true broad alt season. I just think there's too many this time around. There isn't enough money to pump all of those coins. It depends on your definition. If you want to say that the top 100 all outperform Bitcoin, I still don't think so. I just don't think that's the case. And my definition of thin breadth has consistently been 20 or less altcoins outperform Bitcoin to the upside during this kind of rotational period. So it's still kind of too early to say, but so far I don't think anything is going out of the ordinary in terms of my expectations. I'm just wondering what Bitcoin dominance looks like. Yeah, so I mean, it's not far off, is it? Fractals are, you know, worthless, but it's not that far off, really. Why is my fractal split? I don't know. Well, I mean, still, I think if we're honest, apart from a handful of people, when we were back here, very few people thought we would be all the way in March, about to be April of 2025, and trading above 61% dominance. I think if we're honest, most people thought this thing was going to break down way, way, way sooner. But at the moment, there's no real reason to jump in front of any trains here and say this has to break down. I don't think. So, and certainly, can you imagine if like we actually have a black swan show up, whatever that black swan is, or we get a true recession? What if that S&P 500, where is it? This one? Yeah, what if this happens next? Okay, then is this likely to rotate? Is this likely to tank? And we get massive alt season, loads of extra risk being taken? I don't think so. I think this is more likely to do this, if that's the case. Now, we don't know, right? Lots and lots and lots of uncertainties at the moment. But I think it's pretty much, I think it's fair to say my expectation with alt season has played out. I don't really track things like Total 2 and Total 3, but we'll have a look, see what we can see. What's this? Don't know. Oh yeah, that's from there, I think. So clearly we're not doing this, okay? That's obvious now. It doesn't really look good, does it? If we're honest. Doesn't look super bad, but it doesn't look good either. And what about Total 3? Kind of a similar look to... I mean, it's certainly not over, right? Certainly not over. Certainly could get a push to the upside from here. But again, as I've been saying over and over and over again, I would not... I absolutely think it's reasonable that Total 3 does this. I also think it's absolutely reasonable that Total 2 does this as well, right? I've been saying that all along. It's just I don't think everything inside of these indexes is gonna pump. I think it's just going to be a handful of very, very strong overperformers that drag these indexes up. Same as we saw in the stock market. For a long time, the stock market looked like this, and it was just the Mag 7 stocks rallying, right? The Mag 7 carried the indexes on their back, and most stocks did really, really bad. That's kind of what I expect to repeat here. But time will tell. What can be the catalyst? I don't know. I really don't know what could be the catalyst to get us to come out of here swinging. Feels like too many people know the game. Well, knowing the game is not a thing, though. You can give people the rules in the game and they still can't make money because they can't help themselves and manage risk. So it doesn't matter that people know the game, I don't think. Chop solidation. Yeah, maybe. Do you know what, actually? I was looking at this the other day. Look at this, right? Go here, turn some stuff off again. This is actually remarkably similar to this back here. If I grab this and go like this, is that not pretty similar? So it does make me wonder if we have to have a 60-day consolidation cycle in here, right? Maybe come back down to back test the top of this, 73k-ish, and then we can push up for that final leg. Now, I would hope, if this is in play, the final leg up is massive. I really would hope that. It would be really, really disappointing if we got this exact fractal repeat and we only just come up to make a marginal higher high into the end of August and roll over. That would be really sucky. But at least, if nothing else, we would be able to sell the top or very close to it, right? Because we could be able to do this, get out here, and we know that that's late enough in the 4-year cycle that the 4-year cycle low is in focus at that point. So if this is in play, at least we can get out near the top, near enough the top to call at the top, and then reallocate at the 4-year cycle low. I don't think structurally this makes a lot of sense, and I don't think based on the minor floor price this makes a lot of sense. I would think if we are going to do this, consolidate for another, let's say, month or so, and then go, I would think that this final leg is much more aggressive to the upside. But hard to argue at the moment that we're not doing this, right? It's very, very similar so far. So that's kind of a weird idea. Certainly not something I was expecting to see, but it could be that. How should gold perform on the S&P 500 cycle failure? I think gold is just in a bull market for 8 years, and we're only 3 years into it. I don't think gold is going to have any significant pullbacks until its half cycle low, which is year 4, which is due sometime, let's say, late this year, early next year. No, later than that. Let's say sometime mid to late next year, I think it would be due. I could see it falling 30% in a deflation event, but it will be a quick kind of plunge and then recovery, I'm sure. And it'll be a buy the dip by me. If the SPX rolls over, will you exit coin, etc. long-term account? No, I'll treat them as a Bitcoin trade, not an SPX trade. Do you think? But again, with all of that stuff, right? We're in this weird situation where, again, similarly to Bitcoin and the S&P, right? This should be a weekly cycle low for Coinbase. It should be, and it should be about to. And the setup looks great, right? Timing-wise, it's perfect. And this should be about to move this across and label this. So timing-wise, it's perfect. What are you doing? Also notice how we got a trend line, okay, that we have set a bear trap in. Very, very characteristic of a weekly cycle low. So what should be coming here is this. And not just this, but all the way to new highs, 500 and beyond, I would think. That should be coming here. But, again, you have to kind of respect the charts. If what's going to happen from here is we're going to get this little lackluster bounce and then roll over and fail the cycle, then I kind of have to cut the position, right? I kind of have to take the profit from down here and lock all of that down, because at that point we've got a failed cycle and breakdown retest resumption of this upward sloping red. So you can't really keep ignoring technicals forever. We can give them wiggle room like we have been here, because this is a weekly cycle low and we know that bear traps into weekly cycle lows are common. So it's justifiable, from me at least, to say, not yet, okay? It's got a few more days to prove itself, and very quickly this could morph into a look like that, okay? And if so, fine. Then nothing is out of the ordinary. In fact, everything is going according to plan. But again, we're very, very close, aren't we? It's not going to take much before you have to say, okay, got to unload the position from here and wait until at least the next weekly cycle low. And then at that point, it would kind of speak to, you know, being somewhere in here in terms of time, May maybe, before we can. It would be later than that. It would be more like July that we would be looking to get back into Coinbase and stuff like that. So super, super difficult, right? Like, it really is now or never. But I'm not basing the Coinbase and stuff on the S&P. Do you think it'd be prohibited in the future in the EU, the UK to hold Bitcoin? I don't think so, but I would not at all be surprised if they lock off some of these exchanges to high net worth individuals only. That would not surprise me at all. It seems like they're already going in that direction, because I've said this before, but the spread betting has been like this for a long time, where you can spread bet crypto in the UK, but you have to have a professional account, which is essentially a high net worth account. And Coinbase now is making it so that you've got to fill out a form, and even some other exchanges have started to do this now, which weren't before. But I had an email recently from another exchange. I'm not going to name it because I don't want to promote any of them, but I had an email from an account I use, and they were asking me to fill out a form and tell them whether or not I was a high net worth individual. And it just makes me think, like, they're not doing this for no reason. If you should happen to tick the high net worth individual box, you're basically given free reign. But if you tick the other one, as far as I know, they make you promise that you're only going to allocate a certain amount of capital, and you have to specify how much you intend to invest and all of this kind of thing. And that sounds an awful lot to me like they're trying to gatekeep this space and leave it for the high net worth guys only. So, I mean, you can always get non-KYC Bitcoin, right? You can always run your own node, and there are always ways around it, but it would probably stifle innovation and adoption definitely, if this is the direction it goes in. So that's not cool. It's not cool. And also there's like a weird, I don't know if irony is the right word, but to go from a peer-to-peer decentralized separate money and state currency like Bitcoin to this is for high net worth individuals only seems like a complete 180, right? At that point, I think it's hard to say it hasn't failed, right? Or at least it hasn't been captured. So I don't know, man. Interesting times for sure. Any thoughts on triple witching? It's not something I really track, but it's a lot of money, right? It's a lot of expiries and stuff like that. So we could see, I don't know, one day at a time. What else? What if the men in charge don't want the average early adopters and new fintech traders to go along for the ride? Yeah, it could well be that. It could well be that. I think they're just doing their best to capture it. That's what it looks like to me. Whatever capture means. Do I think we'll chop until April 2nd? When is April 2nd? Oh, is that the Titanic date? Is that... This keeps... when did Titanic sink? Oh, it's the 14th. Okay. I keep getting dragged into this Titanic idea that they use it as a ritual date for bottoms and tops and that kind of thing. Wait, if this is the 14th? No, it's not. Okay, is this the 14th? Not quite. All right, so yeah, I don't know. We're not going there. I'm not qualified to speak on that. 444K, yeah, and that's, is it Josh Mann? The most recent profit, that's his target or something. I mean, 444 doesn't seem insane. It seems like it could well be manageable. If we start getting a move on immediately, though, right? I think if we have to waste all this time and go from here, it seems highly unlikely we're going to go from May to August and move up to 444K, right? Where even... This seems highly unlikely to me. Not impossible, mind, but highly unlikely. So I think if we're going to do that, we ought to get a move on now. I think we ought to really start to see this thing push. And even then, I think we're going to struggle. But it's not impossible. It's certainly not impossible. On that weekly cycle low and double chart, we could definitely see it. We could see close to it at least, right? If we were to get a double from here, 160, another double, 300-ish by the end of the year, I think that would be, based on the profiles, that would be really good. And there's scope for a little bit of outperformance in the final cycle as well. So maybe we could get up there. But as you can see from this, we are running out of time, right? We really don't have time to be doing this until the next weekly cycle low and then be looking for anything above about 150, right? At that point, 150 would be like really stellar performance and we'd be lucky to get it. So yeah, man, it's weird. It's weird that we're here because according to the cycles, things are not looking that great. Someone was saying about the ISO coins. I've lost the comment. Try to find it. Sam Potts. The story is, I've told the story loads of times. The story is I was a scientist for Big Pharma and then I became a trader. We'll leave it at that. No official finance background, just 40,000 hours of study and experience. Is retail needed for a blow off top? No, I'm in the camp of people that believes retail has never mattered. I think they do help a little bit, but they don't really matter, in my humble opinion. I don't know anything about this pyramid discovery. I've really gone off listening to everything I see on the internet now. There was a time when I found all this stuff really interesting, but the trust has been so badly abused online, and it's even gotten to the point where for a while me and my friend would send each other like AI generated those like fake videos of some president or whatever talking, and it's just like AI and whatever. We went from sending each other these and joking about not being able to distinguish them from real videos to now every once in a while I see one and I actually don't know if it's AI or not. I just haven't been paying attention to anything like that at all, really. I'm kind of sick of being on the internet, to be honest. Sick of like all the random stuff and everything seems fake nowadays, and I don't know. Am I still holding my trade and bullish opinion? Yeah, I am. So there it is, right? Stop below. What is wrong with me? Keep doing that today. Stop below the low. Yeah. There's the stop. 5475. There's the entry. 5662 in grey. And we are currently not even a point in profit. And I think when it opens today, we're going to be below profit. I think we're going to be in the red. But as ever, right, the stop is a stop for a reason. And until stopped out, then I don't care. So if it's stopped out, then we care. And if it's not stopped, then we continue to remain long and strong. No, I don't track Tether dominance. I don't track that at all. I've never really thought it was good. I know a lot of people really think it's awesome, but it's not something I actually think is very useful. Potential catalyst for the move up, I have no idea. I thought the QT one would be, the taper in QT that came out of the Fed, I thought that would do it. And so long as we hold this low and either close green to the week, or as long as maybe at least next week we get, I don't know, Bloody Monday, turnaround Tuesday, and then a big green candle, right? As long as we can end up not taking this low out, right? As long as we end up holding this low and within the next 1 or 2 weeks we are higher, right, towards 6K on the S&P, then I say nothing is wrong. The catalyst probably is the fact that in April we're going to see the tapering of QT and everything is fine. So that's good. And I think as well, if there was ever a narrative or ever a reason for Bitcoin to actually hold this cycle low and do well, it is the fact that we are dangerously close to April. In fact, what's the date today? The 21st. And by the time we get to April, they are going to be reducing their balance sheet runoff, right? Reducing the speed with which they are running off the balance sheet, which at the margin is akin to QE. So, or at least its effect on markets should be. So there should be some upside here, right? But again, if even that stuff is not going to be respected by the market, even that stuff is going to lead to failed cycles, then we just have to understand that that's how tops happen sometimes, right? They creep up on us. No one really thinks they're going to happen. And then the next thing you know, you've really got to start to be defensive. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think if anything could be the catalyst, it should be that. I mean, as ever, the cycles are in control and we're just trying to find a reason to explain away the upside. But I would think that's the one the institutions care about the most. And the macro guys and the quants, they're probably going to be looking at that liquidity and saying to their institutional fund managers, okay, the Fed's slowing the rate of tapering, so let's start to bid risk. That's what I would think. Can I expand my thoughts on Gary Johnson? Is that Gary's economics? Yeah. I can briefly. We'll do it briefly. I don't really like... Is that him? I'm assuming it is. Gary Stevenson. Who's Gary Johnson? Is that who you meant? Is there any way we can get a longer cycle? I don't really think so. I don't think so, no. The 4-year cycle lows have been extremely consistent for most asset classes, and for Bitcoin, they have been the most consistent by a long way. So I don't see there's any reason to doubt that that would change. Opinion on Litecoin? No opinion, really. Is it Stevenson? Is that who you wanted to know about? I'm assuming it is. Gary the Grifter. All right. Well, let me first say, this is just my opinion, okay? And I'm a very paranoid individual because of my childhood and upbringing. It made me the kind of person that was very distrusting of most people. So it's just my opinion. It's nothing more than that. But I think this guy is a mainstream media plant, and I think he's tasked with getting the people to back an upcoming tax raid. I also think, in fact, somewhere in here, I made a reply. A couple of these. So a couple of things that stick out to me is, one, the speed with which he has grown. Okay, that's the first red flag for me. It seems to me that he has experienced inorganic growth. Second, he got on a Piers Morgan and had an interview with him. Okay, and I don't think that's nothing, right? I'm of the opinion, and it is just my paranoid conspiracy nut opinion, but I think you need a nod from higher up to get on a show like that. Okay. The other thing is, he is famously he frames himself as the best trader of all time. But at the same time, his famous interest rate trade, if you go back and look at the interest rates, he says something like, I don't know the numbers, all right, so don't quote me, but he says something like, and they cut interest rates from 4.5 to 0. And if you go back and look at the interest rates in Switzerland at that time he's talking about, at the year he's talking about, those numbers don't add up. They never cut rates to 0 during the time he says that he lost a load of money or made a load of money trading interest rates. So that's a massive red flag. And his whole shtick, really, one more thing, actually. He says Bitcoin is going to 0 and it's no different to a Ponzi scheme in any other crypto. And he thinks it's just about the guy that invented it pumping his own bags to sell into everyone else, right? Which is clearly a very uneducated take. That's clearly a very uneducated stance. And on top of that, I just don't believe it, right? I don't believe... I'm sure he probably did work at Citibank, but I don't believe he can gain the kind of traction that he has gained. And his whole shtick is, we need to tax the rich, right? Well, the rich are already taxed, in the UK at least. They're already taxed, effective rate is 60%. That's just what it is, right? Like, once you get above, I can't remember the threshold, it's like 150k a year, you don't even get a personal allowance anymore. You just essentially pay 60% tax, right, in the UK. So the rich are already taxed through the teeth. And people will always say, yeah, well, they pay corporation tax and they draw dividends and they're only 8%. Yeah, I get that. But I think really what this is just to get the mainstream guys, right, the normies, your everyday average Joes, to get whipped up into a frenzy, going, yeah, this system is unfair, let's tax the rich. And then when the people back the idea of a tax raid, the government will probably bring in a tax raid. And that's what I think this is all about. That's just the vibe I get off of this guy, right? And it's really that simple. And do you know what this also reminds me of? It's just the pattern recognition part of my brain. And again, it's not necessarily right, okay? This is just my paranoid opinion brain function in the way it functions. But he reminds me of Russell Brand during the C19 era. During the C19 era, Russell Brand was saying some of the same things that many channels I were following at the time were saying. And many of the channels I was following were independent. They weren't, a famous Hollywood celebrity or whatever. And they were all getting shadow banned and having to go onto other platforms. And they were all saying to people like, oh, I'm under attack and I'm getting censored and this, that and the other. And you got to, join this other page because I've been kicked off of this, that and the other. And at the same time, Russell Brand just kind of soared from 0 to 2 million to 5 million plus subscribers for saying the same things. And I remember thinking at the time, well, how has this guy got so much traction? How has he been given permission not to be censored? Whilst everyone else that I was following at the time who was saying the same thing, they were clearly under attack and clearly suffering. And it just reminds me of that inorganic growth I speak of, where all of a sudden this person comes onto the stage and goes totally viral. And you think, it could be by chance and maybe I am too paranoid. But some of this doesn't sit right with me. So that's my opinion. That's what I think is going on. And I also noticed that the normies love this guy. In fact, even this morning, my wife sat next to me and showed me this thing. And she went, "Oh, I want you to watch this podcast with me. He's on the, I think it's the Diary of the CEO podcast." And she was like, "Yeah, I want you to watch this because I think this guy's a bit dodgy." And I was like, if my wife, who has no trading experience, apart from the fact she's married a trader who talks about markets all the time to her, she had her spidey senses set off by this guy, right? Because she has picked up and absorbed enough financial literacy from me to be able to detect the same thing I was detecting. And I'd never really mentioned this guy to her before. She just kind of found him and was like, "I want you to watch this podcast with me because he doesn't sit right with me. I think this is some kind of weird shill." And I was thinking, if my wife notices this, then it's not just me, I don't think. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Very paranoid person, very distrusting person. Don't know him, okay? Could be 100% wrong on everything I said. But that's just how I see it. That's just my humble opinion. So yeah, that's that. Under the 200 MA, I keep hearing this, but I don't use the 200 MA, so I don't really care about that. Also, kind of a lot of bottoms form under the 200 MA, weekly cycle lows as well. So don't worry about it for now, right? Focus on the stop level. If the stops run, then we're in trouble. Yeah, a lot of bearish accounts. Yeah, a lot of the big accounts are, but they're perpetually on the wrong side, I think. And that's, to be honest, it's because they're not traders, though, isn't it? Those really big financial accounts with a million subscribers and that, they're not actually traders. They react to the tape and they drive emotions, and that's what they do. So yeah, I don't know. Would I adjust my stop on days when there are events like triple witching? No, I'm not a big fan of touching the stop at all. Actually, I believe you should set the trade and then let it do its thing. The only time I don't mind moving the stops is say we get long out of this, just as an example, stop below the low, right? By the time we get to the next cycle low, let's say this one up here, okay, we can add here again, same strategy, stop below the low. Well, at this point, the stop from the first position can come up below the cycle low, for sure, to the same level, because we should not be failing the cycle. Okay, if we do, then we've got to take some profit. We shouldn't be letting the price fail this cycle and then come all the way back down to the original stop. So as we get subsequent cycle lows show up, I'm happy to move the stop underneath those. But other than that, I tend to just have the most success by putting the stop there and then leaving it. Let the trade do what it's going to do. That's how I tend to find is the best. I think I'm really behind on the comments. I also think I'm bouncing around and reading some new ones and some old ones. What is the Gary guy doing? I don't know, man. I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it we topped in Bitcoin? I don't know. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. All the while we're above the cycle low, we can't call a top. Okay, wait, I'm catching up to the comments. I think I've almost found my place again. Excuse me, you could probably tell by my energy, I'm quite laid back today. I'm not in a hot-headed mood as I was a couple of days ago when I was screaming at the MicroStrategy guys. Okay. Is there any way we can have a longer cycle? Oh no, I'm way behind. We're getting there. Would I adjust the stop? Okay. Okay, we did that. Catching up. Where do you find the confidence to still try to understand this manipulated market? Well, all markets are manipulated. We just got to get over it. You got to, in my opinion, the way I look at it at least is I don't bother trying to point the finger at everyone else. Instead, I try to take accountability and point the finger at me. So, you know, if I get stopped out here, I could say, well, that's manipulation, right? That's manipulation. The market make 100 my stop. I can make a billion reasons and excuses as to why I got stopped out here, but none of them are really helpful, right? None of them are actually going to make me a better trader. None of them are conducive to success. Instead, if I get stopped out here, I will point the finger at me and say, well, I was wrong. I got my timing wrong. My analysis was rubbish. I probably should have sold earlier, or whatever it is. I will look for a reason as to why I got stopped out. And if there's nothing wrong, which sometimes there won't be, and I just have to pay a stop here because 50% of the trades are going to fail, right, in any normal system, whatever. But, you know, saying this is manipulation, what does that achieve, right? That seems like a victim mentality. It seems like a victim mindset. And I don't really think that that's conducive to success in any area of life. You know, if I wanted a six-pack, I could say, well, I got slow metabolism, right? Or you could eat less and train hard, right? Like, yeah, some people have faster metabolisms than others. And some people, whatever, right? We can always point the finger, but that's kind of my answer to that question. Is that, like, all markets are manipulated. I accept that, and I just kind of trade around it. One of the ways around that manipulation, I believe, is to use the daily time frame. I think if you're using a 15-minute chart, and I know some people make good living on a 15-minute chart, but I think if you're going to use the 15-minute chart, then you're going to be fighting ultra high frequency algos and bots that have cost, you know, institutions billions and billions of dollars. And I think that's really, really difficult, right? For me, at least. Whereas if you put it on the daily, then, you know, you can have a nice wide stop and a clear invalidation, and then you can just let this thing play out over time. And I think that gives you a massive, massive, massive advantage. There's also that chart, isn't there? I wonder if we can find it quickly. And I think this is one of the most powerful, what do you call it? What would it be? Up days versus down days. Stocks gains up after close or close. Oh, out of hours. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, something like this. This is not far from reality. So here's the gains made during the day, during regular hours, right? And here's the gains in the S&P 500 made outside, right, after the market is closed. So in other words, if you're day trading, you haven't really got much to make here. But if you're swing trading on the daily time frame, most of the gains are going to come overnight when we close, you know, here, and overnight we gap up, right? This is what it is. Most of the gains are made by gapping up, right, when the market is closed. So I'm a big believer that the daily time frame allows us to extract this from the market. And I think that helps get around the manipulation. So that's kind of that. I don't know. Like I said, I think don't be a victim, right? There's absolutely no benefit in saying the market's manipulated and therefore what am I going to do about it, right? You just have to kind of take it as it comes. Gary versus Camel, please. He's too big for this channel. And if I'm even close to right, there's no way they would allow someone to question him, I don't think. Plus, he doesn't really. He would just argue as well, wouldn't he? Right? He'd just be like, at the end of the day, I'm the best fucking trader of all time. Like, that's what he does. Yeah, I agree, Sam. I agree. And I also noticed, like I think I said earlier, but anyone that seems to actually be a trader or is immersed in markets doesn't trust that guy. So, yeah, I don't know. Hard to con someone that actually knows how the space works, right? Or knows a bit about what's going on inside. So, I don't know. Yeah, tend to agree. Do I watch Academic Agent? No, I do not. Citibank? Yeah, sure. Yeah, Steve, by no means should you take what I said about Gary to heart, or like I could be 100% wrong every single way possible about him. I could absolutely be wrong. And anyone that's known me for any length of time also knows that that's kind of my attitude to almost everyone, right? Like a lot of people really don't like the fact that I don't trust Elon or DT. A lot of people really don't like that. And a lot of people think it's because I've been propagandized or whatever. But it's not that at all. It's not that. I just don't trust anyone that... I think if you can be put on stage in front of the world, if you can make it onto television and news and stand next to the president, I think you probably have to be into some nefarious things. That's what I think. I don't believe me, for example, who would absolutely not be willing to compromise my morals or go against natural law for any amount of money or power or fame. I do not believe someone like me would ever have an opportunity to stand in the same room as those people. That's my personal belief. I believe I would have to be compromised in order to do so. But I could be wrong about that, of course, right? Like I've never been in those rooms, so how would I know? But that's what I think. Russell Brand didn't get paid for those vids. Maybe, but he did sell all kinds of shows and relaunch his career as a very famous guy, right? He did suddenly get a lot of exposure and then start selling books. And he did the famous 33 show, right? With the 33 tattooed on his arm. So maybe that's nothing, right? Maybe it's nothing, or maybe it is something. I don't know. So... And then, of course, there was the classic accusation thing that seems to be all part of that humiliation ritual that many of those guys go through, right? That Russell had to go through as well. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Can you explain how you're handling longer term trades? You have some trades that you hold in a long term account. However, are you holding them in the short term? Is this just so you can weather the volatility? For the most part, the long term accounts are like asset collection, right? It's like if I gave you £1 million, right? Say you have nothing and then I give you £1 million. Are you just going to keep that £1 million cash in the bank? Probably not, right? Are you going to want to put all 1 million in a trading account? Probably not either, right? You're probably going to like buy a house, buy a car, put some in the bank, buy some gold if you're into that, buy some Bitcoin, buy some stocks, this, that, and the other, right? You're probably going to like spread it out in a basket of places. So that's all my long-term account is. It's like a basket of assets, right? And there are some things I want to hold for the long term. Now, I'm kind of privileged to be a trader because it enables me to use the cycles, the longer term cycles, to get hold of positions and ride them for a few years in the longer term accounts. So, you know, for Bitcoin, for example, that's the most obvious one. It tends to have a 4-year cycle low very, very consistently every 4 years. So what I tend to do is buy a bunch of crypto stocks at the 4-year cycle low and then tell myself I'm going to sell them all in 3 years' time. And I don't really care what the price is or what's happened. I just allow enough time to elapse until we get late in the 4-year cycle, sell it, and then hopefully there's a profit there. And then we wait for the next 4-year cycle low and we allocate the cash or some of the cash back at the 4-year cycle low. So that's what I would do with crypto stocks. And then at the same time, gold right now, as I've been making the case over and over and over again, is in an 8-year bull market, according to me, right? And if we put this on log, this is what I think is in play right now. I've been saying this all the way since we broke out back here, right? And that right there is an 8-year cycle low. And I think we're going to do this just like we always do if we go to the monthly time frame. Right, here's all the 8-year cycle lows. So what I tend to do is say, okay, there's an 8-year cycle low, time to allocate some gold, and then close to the top, we can unwind it, right? Here's another 8-year cycle low, time to allocate to gold and miners, and this time, we've clearly got a rip-roaring bull market ahead for gold. So we can see that by the way the fractal and the cycles just continue to resolve to more and more highs. And therefore, every weekly cycle low, I might want to continue to add or DCA at the weekly cycle lows to things like the gold mining stocks and that kind of thing. And, you know, for example, we allocated in the longer term accounts, I allocated a big chunk down here for MicroStrategy. The thing did like a 17x when I sold out, okay? And then I had loads and loads and loads of cash. I didn't know what to do with it at all. And so I've recently took some of that cash at the most recent weekly cycle low here, and I bought a whole heap of gold mining stocks, and I notified all the level 3 members about that. I think there's something like 12 or 13. Some of them are ETFs, which are diversified. Some of them are individual companies. And my plan is, as I said to the members, I'm going to hold them until 2030-ish, maybe 2028, because I believe the next 8-year cycle low for gold is not due until here, 2030. So I expect this, right, to creep up like this to about here, 2028, and then decline into a 8-year cycle low. And so somewhere in here, I will look to unload all of the miners and the gold and all that kind of thing. And then I'll have a huge pile of cash, hopefully. And again, we can allocate some back down here at the 8-year cycle low and hold it again for the long term. So really all I do, I guess, in the longer term accounts is the exact same thing I do in my shorter term spread betting and trading accounts. It's just instead of use the daily time frame and the daily cycle lows, I use these major 8-year cycle lows and then just kind of buy and hold them. And instead of managing the positions with a stop loss, which is 2% of my account, I size the position so that I assume in the worst case scenario, if I buy a gold mining stock, for example, it can go to zero. So I size the positions so that in the worst case scenario, I can see that stock go all the way down to zero. And thus, I might want to say allocate 15% of my portfolio here if I was super bullish. And that means in the worst case scenario, all of those gold mining stocks would fall to zero. I would lose 15% of my long-term portfolio, which is a lot more than 2% of a trading account. But in reality, by the time some of them started to fall 40 or 50%, I could cut the trade, right? And then I wouldn't be too far from my 6% sector risk anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. That's how I do it with the long-term accounts. And then slowly over time, I think it would be fine to DCA these kind of instruments or DCA an S&P 500 tracker. Nothing wrong with that. But as a cycle trader with knowledge of these cycles, I can just use them to my advantage. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I don't use fair value gaps at all. What is my take on fair value gaps? I don't use fair value gaps. What's my thoughts on Bitcoin and crypto being created as a psyop to indoctrinate people into a CBDC? Could have been. It definitely could have been. I don't know. I don't use fair value gaps. That's an easy one to answer. Is Bitcoin and crypto a psyop? Maybe. I lean on the side that it probably wasn't. I doubt it probably... I would think it probably wasn't, although it seems more likely now that they are going to do some kind of bait and switch. I think these CBDCs, I've been saying this for a while, I think we're already using them and just nobody has figured out their CBDCs yet. I think those stable coins, particularly USDC Circle, I think that is the CBDC. And they just haven't yet done the update to the code wherein it comes with all the CBDC-like tyranny. But I think that's the real psyop. I think they're going to kind of frame this as as stable coins that can provide liquidity to markets and can be pinged around the world in an instant. But then at some point later in life, they can program them or reprogram them or upgrade them and make them the CBDC. That's what I think. There will be no 4-year cycle is something somebody with no knowledge of cycles would say. Yeah, 10-year, 3-month keeps going down, does it? Let's have a look. Usually we would look at this. US 10-year, is that right? Yeah, minus US 03 MY. Yeah, so I mean, that's not exactly alarming, right? This, again, is conducive to seeing a bottom in the stock market and Bitcoin. That is not looking accelerative like it did in all prior times when we saw true breakdowns in risk. And I suspect the 210.2 creeping up, but again, it's not accelerative, right? It doesn't look anything like that. Doesn't look anything like that, does it? So Yeah, I mean, another point in favour that the bears are wrong here, and the sentiment is too extreme in one side, and we need a snapback. Oh, and it's VIX Crush Friday as well, so that's something. Is there a bottom on crypto stocks and Bitcoin miners? There should be, yeah, there should be, but we don't know yet. Am I interested with any individual stocks? Only like the gold miners that we do in the level 3 member section. And I've kind of bought them now, so I just kind of sit back and let them do their thing. Again, I think very long term with that 8-year cycle. I'm not even going to be... I don't care what any price action between now and 2028 is, for me, noise. I do not care. I'll get to 2028 and we'll dump them. Yeah, Gary could be honest. Could be. Why was FOMC bullish? I thought it was horrible for the markets. Well, we haven't given it enough time yet. We can't make any conclusions because it was 1 day ago, right? Bottoms are a process and we haven't yet failed the cycle, so we can't make any conclusions. But I think FOMC was extremely bullish because of one specific sentence, and that sentence was they are going to slow the pace of balance sheet runoff. They're going to slow down tapering. And that is incredibly bullish because it's akin to QE and will provide significantly more liquidity to the markets. You've got to think the Fed has basically said, we've had a huge balance sheet full of assets that we've been selling into the market. As retail and everyone else buys the stocks and treasuries and all this stuff, the Fed has been massively oversupplying the market. And now they've said they're going to stop oversupplying the market. So that's bullish. What is the comparison to CAGR? Well, it's kind of cherry picked. I always notice. They're like, oh, the 4-year CAGR is messed up. Yeah, okay, but what about the 5-year, 6-year, 8-year, 10-year, right? All of that's still intact. It's just where we happen to be at the cycle. If you use the 4-year CAGR at this point in the prior 4-year cycles, it was also not very good. So, have I got all of my spot Bitcoin on an exchange with a stop loss? No, no. What are you talking about? Of course not, brother. Glad you found that useful. Where do I trade gold? Has this crashed? What is happening? Nah, we're fine, right? Get out. Hang on, my chat crashed. I think we've done this before. Oh no, reload. You might have to refresh. Pop out chat. Okay, minimize. Are we back? Did we ever leave? Let me know. Oh dear. Where are we? Okay, seems to be working. From a technological perspective, stablecoins are identical to CBDCs. Yeah, I agree. Uranium mining stock, NXE. What is that? Oh, we've already done some TA on it apparently before. I was talking about markup, distribution, markdown. Looks like it occurred from here. How long have we been going for? Has it been an hour yet? Yeah, it has. Okay. I'll hang around for a few more minutes to try and get to a few more of these questions. Why do I use spread betting? It's tax efficient in the UK. Depending on how you have your business structured, of course. You do need a good accountant. Unless you have a day job. If you have a day job, then you don't even need an accountant, really. It's just tax efficient because they know you're going to lose. Do you think Bitcoin would be used to pay our bills? I don't know. It seems like that's impossibly far in the future at this point, to me at least. Where did I study cycle trading? I don't know. I don't know. Do I play video games? No, not at all. I've got a very weird idea about video games and television and movies. I don't do any of that stuff because I believe it steals your manifestation. Like I'm a big believer that your thoughts create your reality, and I'm a big believer that if you watch things like television and movies and you don't take action in the real world and you don't introduce randomness and chaos into your life, then your manifestations that would otherwise present in the real world are manifested through the television and video games that you play. And I find that very horrible, to think that if I sit down and watch a movie, it's going to steal my reality away from me. I think that's what it's designed to do as well. So yeah, I know it's a very, very wacky idea and concept, but that's what I think. So no TV, no movies, no video games. Will I buy gold stocks once Bitcoin hits the Bitcoin Gold channel? I'm going to keep buying gold stocks anyway. I'm going to keep buying them every weekly cycle low, I would imagine. Certainly if we get some kind of deflationary event and we get a big puke to the downside, then I'll just probably double my exposure without really looking twice. And that half cycle low, the 4-year cycle low, which is the 8-year half cycle low for gold, I will probably add 2x my exposure out of that as well. But that's not due for a year and a bit. 30k substream. Are we at 30k subs yet? Oh, have we done it? We've got to do a party for it. I don't know if we're there yet or not. We're not there. Okay, if you're not subscribed, will you please subscribe? Do I know Casper? I've heard of it, yes. Books on cycle trading, never read one. I do have a PDF you can download though from the merch store. Traditional technical indicator. I don't like any of them. I guess the only one I would use is the Brexit, DSS Brexit. Or the simple 10 moving average, 10 period moving average. Would I recommend a Staffy? Not really. I would recommend a Staffy if you are not going to leave it for more than 2 hours a day, but they are notoriously bad at being left. Mine is fine. He's literally right next to me all day, every day. They're awesome dogs if you've got a bit of experience with dogs. Some of them are very chill, and some of them are not chill at all in any way, shape, or form. And it's really hit and miss as to which one you're going to get. They're also highly strung, highly emotional, and very highly strung, some of them, which is a very weird characteristic or character trait of a dog. So I would recommend one if you have had a hot-headed dog before, if you're experienced, and if you are not going to planning to leave it for 4, 5, 6 hours a day. They are awesome dogs. They are certainly awesome dogs, but they are a lot of hard work as well. Is there a summary of open active? Yes, all the positions are in the members section in the post tab. Just go to the post tab, scroll down. They're all there. There's a full list of all the gold mining stocks and everything, and the amount of size that was allocated. It's all there. It's all tracked and traced. No face reveal for me, I don't think. Yeah, Bob, I agree. I think he's a bit of a weird dude. Given the 4-year cycle low, do you assume there'll be 2 pumps remaining? Which essentially, yeah, that's the profile of the weekly cycles. But we could have topped, and we just haven't figured it out yet. Do I read a lot of books? Nope, never really liked reading books. Do I watch conspiracy movies? No, I try not to watch any TV or movies at all, really. I missed your member's message, did I? Okay, I'm very sorry. Let me scroll up. It's not even there. Are you sure? Okay, I think I got you, Ivan. Sorry, Ivan, I'm really sorry. What if Bitcoin tracks an 8-year cycle and the low in 2026 is the 8-year cycle low, which could lead to a left translate where we find the top? Yeah, it could be that. It could be that, for sure. Or it would just be 2 4-year cycle lows. We're essentially tracking the smaller time frame ones. It could be that. And this is the thing. Wait, what chart should I use to show this? Bitcoin all... This is going to be the hilarious thing over the next couple of years for our channel and the Camel Crew in particular. Okay, this is what's going to be very, very funny. So, as we know, if you know anything about cycles at all, we tend to see in a bullish setup, right? We tend to go 1 right trans, 2 right trans, 3 right trans, and then the 4th will left translate. And that gives us the larger order degree cycle. That is where the whole idea for left translation came from this time around. Yeah? So this time around, we can look at Bitcoin's price history and say 1 right trans, 2 right trans, 3 right trans, expect this one to left translate and fail, right? That's what we were expecting. Now, of course, we didn't do that. This is clearly right translated at this stage. So what does that mean? Well, according to cycle theory, if left translation does not occur in cycle 4, it will occur in cycle 5. Which means the new base case, and this, this is why I'm laughing, because the amount of hate, people still taunt me with getting left translation wrong to this day, right? And I can only imagine the stick I'm going to get when we eventually do, so let's say we do something like this, right? Something like this, bear market, 4-year cycle low. Camel is going to come back here and he's going to say things like, that's it, expect a left translated cycle, right? Expect one of these. Something like this. And then a big, long and drawn out bear market that spans for almost 3 years until, what will it be, like 2032 or something. Is my maths really bad? No, yeah, that's right. Something like this. This is what we'd be expecting. That looks really wrong. What? Is my maths really bad? Yeah, it is bad. There you go. Do that. Okay. So yeah, I can only dread to imagine what people are going to say when they find out that my new base case after this 4-year cycle low is an extremely left translated cycle top and a big extended bear market decline. People are not going to be happy with me and they're going to continue to be like, yeah, well, you said it here and you were wrong, right? Yeah, well, you're not this again. I know people are not going to like it, but according to cycle theory, it was likely to occur this time around. And also, according to cycle theory, the fact it did not occur this time around says that it's even more likely to occur next cycle. So it will be really interesting to see if we get this. There's always an outside chance that Bitcoin is its own rare and unique beast that is not going to do this in any way, shape or form, right? It might be that Bitcoin is totally unique and Bitcoin is just not interested in playing ball. It's going to completely disregard this setup that we often see. Who knows, right? There's no way of knowing at this moment in time. But that is the base case. So I don't mind telling you now, right? The fact that we were invalidated in left translation this cycle means nothing to me, okay? We stayed on the right side of the trade for the most part. Happy days. And so long as there's another high left in it, then we're still going to be able to sell the top. Happy days. But everyone should know that we are indeed going to reload this thing next time around. And people are probably not going to be very happy about it, but that's okay, right? That is absolutely fine with me. Thoughts on Australian property market? I have no clue, brother. Absolutely no clue at all. Not something I track. Not something I have any clue about, really. So, yeah, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird for sure. Yeah, I can see everyone saying I missed the super chat. Sorry about that, Ivan. Do I prefer CFDs or futures? Neither, really. How often do I hit the gym? 5 or 6 days a week, on average. If Bitcoin tracks the 8-year cycle, yep. Yeah, so we kind of answered that one. That's not where I parked my car. What kind of knee is this? What supplements do I take? I'm not a supplement guy, really. I take creatine and I take whey protein shakes, and that's it. Oh, Russian power. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. It's just part of growing, I guess. Your dog is as paranoid as me. Okay. What's my current goals? I don't really have any goals. I think keep doing this. This is working quite nicely. Although maybe that will change soon. I think most people know I'm expecting my first child in June or July. I should know. July. In July. So maybe the goals will change a little bit then. But yeah, I kind of achieved the things I wanted to achieve. I wanted to be a trader, and I wanted to have freedom to choose what I do with my time. And I've had that for a long time, and I'm really grateful for that. And so now I just kind of enjoying that. I worked very, very hard to get to that stage, and now I've got it. I'm pretty content, I'm pretty happy with what I do. Dylan, I haven't looked. We'll let the stop do the worrying as always. Is SILJ a trade for you or a long-term hold? Both. I've got trades in SILJ and I've got long-term holds in SILJ too. What's my favorite pastime? Lately it's driving. I think it's because the weather's dried up and it's not as slippy as it once was. And I've got really into detailing my cars as well, which is it's like such a waste of time. It really is such a waste of time, but I've got really into it. I'm like super locked onto that at the moment. And I like a lot of dog walks, exercise, dinners out. I'm also throwing a big family hog roast as well, which I'm really excited about in the middle of the year. I managed to get practically everyone that came to our wedding a couple of years ago is coming back down. And we're going to have a big hog roast, so I'm super looking forward to that. You don't see the window of YouTube, only the mouse moving. Yeah, I'm reading the comments. You should know by now, I'm not a proper streamer. I'm a trader first and a YouTuber second. I don't know how to do. I don't know how to do a proper stream. Thanks, brother. I will do. Yeah, I'm gonna have some good drinks and fun tonight. Maybe not drinks though. I've not really been drinking much this year, and it feels kind of good. I've been like really trying to gain some lean mass this year. And it feels kind of counterintuitive to spend all that time training and eating and forcing protein inside me, only to wait. That sounds gay, but yeah, it sounds wrong. Yeah, it seems weird to go through all that hassle and then just go and drink a bottle of rum and not be able to recover. So, but I'm gonna enjoy some food tonight, and that'll be nice. Happy dog walking dinner, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy that. I think we're going to have to wrap this up pretty soon. Left translation weekly would mean strong daily cycle, 2 down. Wait, what? Left translation in a weekly could mean 1 strong daily cycle. Yeah, and 3 down would be kind of bearish. So we'll see. Will I still hold if we get a recession? Yeah, I probably will. They're long-term holds. I might do some damage control if it's obvious at the time. But for the gold miners, I think every dip is for buying. I welcome the dips because I'm just going to add. And yeah, like I said earlier, everything between now and 2028 is noise. I'm probably going to sell them 2028, 2029, and then reallocate them again at that 8-year cycle low, because we should get at least another few years of bounce out of that next 8-year cycle low in 2030. But I really think no one is bullish enough on gold. I really think we're going to get, 10 to 50x out of a lot of those gold mining stocks between now and 2030. And so I don't really care about the ups and downs in the meantime. I'm kind of there for the long haul. Did I yes, use a trading journal? Yeah, absolutely. Daily trading journal is a very, very, very important part of trading if you're new. Yep, the color coded. It goes purple when you've been here a year. So there is actually a little number, Sam, next to the camel, and that's months. So I think you get a camel with 1, 2, and then like 6 or something. 1, 2, 4, 6 months, and then it goes purple when you've been there a year. And I think there are other colors if you've got 2 years, but we haven't had the member section that long. Any funny stories of getting shredded? I don't know if they're funny, but I definitely got wrecked. I've blown 3 accounts, I think. Definitely 2, and I think it might be 3 in my first 4 years of trading. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like such a long time ago. I mean, it was a long time ago, but yeah, I don't know if I got any funny stories so much. I do remember the only one that stands out is I once held, I forget the name of the stock, but I once held a stock whose CEO was either severely injured or killed cycling to work, and the stock dumped like 80% on a gap down. That's that's the only one that sticks in my mind. And I remember being really torn between, am I going to be upset or am I going to try to be a good human that is empathetic to the fact that this poor guy was cycling to work and now he's not coming home to his family? And I remember thinking, this is a wild space. Probably not anything close to how wild the space is today, and certainly nothing like crypto. But yeah, that's the only one that sticks out in my mind. What do I think about another leg lower? I don't know, man. Let the stop do the worrying. Schmeaty ears is not something I track, although I think they are pretty powerful, but don't quote me on that. New low today, I don't know. Let it happen. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know anything about the Australian property market. Six-pack reveal. I don't know, man. I love you too, Russian Power. I'm grateful you're still here, brother. No homo. Is Bitcoin its own beast, or perhaps an 8-year cycle? We'll know in 20 plus years. Yeah, that's pretty much it, Ivan. We'll know soon enough. What did I do prior to full-time trading? I was a scientist for Big Pharma. Please don't judge me. I didn't know. When gender reveal? What, my gender or the baby's gender? The baby. The baby is a boy. Favorite fish to catch? Sea bass. Thank you for the congratulations. I don't trust stablecoins in any way, shape, or form. I haven't decided on an SUV yet. Me and the wife have been arguing extensively about this. And so, this is what the wife wants. Right? The wife wants a Dacia Duster. And if I was a good accommodative husband, I would say, okay, wife, if that's what you want, let me buy you a Dacia Duster. But we both drive each other's cars all the time, and this is going to be the one that we put the ISOFIX in for the baby, and thus, am I going to pull an ISOFIX out and mess around? I can put the baby in some of my cars, but anyway, I don't want to drive this because my ego is too big. I guess, if we're being honest, right? What does it matter? It doesn't matter, but I don't want to drive a Dacia Duster. So Mrs. Camel was like, you know, buy me a car. I'm like, sure, you need a car. You need one with 4 doors or whatever. What are we going to do? And because I won't buy her this one because I don't want to drive it, we have reached a stalemate. So we haven't picked one yet. We've been arguing about it for about 3 months now, I would say, and we're going to have to make a decision by July, I would think. So yeah, I guess I'll let you know when I buy one. Do I think now is a good time to accumulate altcoins? I'm the wrong person to ask, brother. Is the 2 bucket wash safe? It's not what I use. It's not what I use. I do the whole process. But I suppose it probably is. Cooking soon? I don't know. Do I ever consider capital gains? No, I don't. I do have some tax efficient accounts though. Wait, I keep losing my place. I think I'm really far behind the comments. Am I considering an Alfa Romeo? No, I'm not. Is there some way to calculate the advantage or expected date at the peak? No, not really. Due to some please no. Thank you, Ivan. Ivan, you're incredibly generous. Thank you, brother. I think, Ivan, you've practically paid for my dinner tonight, so thank you very much. You're a wonderful human. What are my thoughts on H-bar? I don't know. I don't track altcoins. Forcing protein inside me is a weird thing to say. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Do I drink Johnny Walker? Occasionally. Not really. I'm much more of a spiced rum guy. Enjoy, Alfred. 80% gap will surely fill. Who knows? My greatest trade. I think it might be the MicroStrategy one this cycle. I think. I mean, once you've been doing this as long as I do, you definitely don't remember all your trades. But I think it might be this. This was a 17x. This was a 17x for me. And I think that's got to be in there. Mind you, that's a trade. I also, last cycle, I think I did a 20x maybe. What's this right here? Oh no, that's not a 20x, is it? That's a 10x or an 11x. So, and this was a longer term account thing. About there. Yeah, that was close. That might have been one. Maybe slightly less. But I think it was probably the MicroStrategy trade, I think. Which was a 17x. That's at least the one that stands out to me. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I got. That's the ones that are coming to mind at the moment. 80% way oversold. Who knows? I'm way behind on comments. I'm trying to catch up, man. All right, we'll skip to the dust a bit. Yeah, I don't know about the Dacia. I don't want one of those. Get a Volvo. I don't know. Which domain in science? I did the design for tablets. I did the manufacturing processes for tablets. Duster billionaire spec. Yeah. I'm not rich enough. I'm not rich enough to drive the Duster. Get her the car. I don't know, man. I don't want to drive it. I really don't. Thanks for the congratulations. How are you going to name the baby? I'll tell you. I've already picked the name. I love the name. The name is awesome. It's a strong name, but I'm not going to tell you until it's born. I'll keep that to myself. So I don't want you stealing it. I can't recommend any brokers as a rule. I never do, just in case they turn into FTX. I am still live. I know. It's really cool though. It's really humbling. Like the channel got to a size where we can just go live and hang out indefinitely. It's pretty cool. Really cool. I actually really enjoy it. I mean, there's not been any alpha here for a while. We've been talking about protein shakes and Dacia Dusters, so I don't know how much value we're actually adding. But I wanted to relax, and I'm finding this quite relaxing at the moment. So yeah, I mean, not everyone cares about cars. Not everyone cares about them, but I actually really like a certain few things from my cars. So. Cameron or Camilla. No, I never. I should have. That would have been. Yeah, I missed a trick there. I'm not going to name him Satoshi. No. I'm not intentionally skipping your questions, Luke. I'm sorry, brother. I don't know where they are. I'm still not sure how you predict what way the next cycle low will go after that. Yeah, that's because I don't know either, brother. I don't know. One day at a time, man. You know, cycles give you enough power to say, here's the next low. roughly speaking, and you can be right about 80% of the time with those. But that's all they do, right? It's not a future telling system. I actually don't have a crystal ball. I just stick to the system, and the system is an edge, which creates the illusion from time to time that I do have a crystal ball. But as ever, it's just an edge, and it allows me to be right slightly more often than I'm wrong, and that's really all it is. Thank you for the kind words. You guys are all so nice. UEC, never heard of it. Yeah, you can pull the email address for business inquiries from the About tab on the channel. Camel Jr. What did I think of the big whale? I think we short in the market. I think we did cover it. Something I've come to learn over the years is I think a lot of people in the crypto space put a lot of weight on people with size. So if you see a $300 million short, people tend to say, well, 300 million is massive size, so therefore he must know something. But in my experience, it's not always like that. Generally speaking, it's not always like that. I find that a lot of the time they kind of put these orders in, and then it turns out it's some kind of spoof, or then they get pulled last minute, or even they get liquidated. And they're just wrong in size. So I tend not to pay too much attention to that kind of thing. No, I don't do track days. Do I think Tesla bottom is in? I don't know. I don't know. Do I have a meditation practice? Not really. I tend to try to quiet my mind to see what will come in. That's what I tend to try to do. I don't even know if that counts as meditation. I like to ask why and try to frame things from multiple different perspectives. But generally speaking, my mind races all the time, all day, every day. And I try, when I do meditate, I try to quiet it down. That's what I tend to focus on. Can you pinpoint a specific event which significantly increased your mental confidence while trading? Risk management. It was the understanding. I think I got this from Mark Minervini as well. It was the understanding, because what kept happening was, and this is probably familiar to a lot of people, was I would make a bunch of money because I caught a 400% stock penny stock pump, and then I'd be like, yes, crack the code, right? I'm the best. And then within 2 or 3 trades, I'd lost it all again. And then it's like, okay, well, you know, we'll go slow. We'll not trade too big a size, blah, blah, blah. And then we catch this big pump. And then very quickly, all the way back down here again. Oh, man, I've got to take more money out of next month's paycheck and fund my account. And then eventually I get this big spike, right? And you get the point. So that's how my performance looked for a long time. And it wasn't until, like I said, I'm pretty sure I got it from Mark Minervini. I realized you had to have a risk management strategy. It wasn't until then that it started to make sense. I was like, oh, if you manage risk, you can't make a bunch of money and then give it all back, right? You can only make a bunch of money and give little bits of it back. And then it's only a matter of time before you make a bunch of money again, right? And then you give little bits back again. And so once I realized this, I then had to undergo a process of learning the discipline to stick to it. So I would stick to it for a while, right? My equity curve would look like this, let's say. And then boom, and I'd reset this, okay? And then I'd creep my way back up, and then boom, I'd reset it. And after, I don't know, some time, after maybe a year of doing this, 3 years of really struggling, a year of doing this, it suddenly occurred to me that I had to have a conversation with myself and say, if you want to be a trader, then you have to stop disrespecting your own time, because that's what I was doing, right? I was putting in all the time and energy required, doing all the study, all the managed risk, and then one stupid trade, one oversized, over-leveraged, whatever, silly mistake would reset potentially months or even years of hard work and grind. And so this, for me, was the realization. It was like, oh, you are a self-harmer, right? Some people self-harm in all different ways. Some people drink too much drugs. Some people cut themselves, whatever, right? But I was self-harming by working really hard and almost getting to the point where I was trading the kind of size I wanted to, and then wrecking it, having to start from scratch. And it was this realization where it's like, oh, if you just stop self-harming, if you just stop breaking the rules, if you stop saying F it just this once and just stick to the process, right, then you will eventually get to where you want to be. And so that was kind of the pivotal moment for me. It was realizing that that's all I needed to do, is just promise myself I'm not going to self-harm anymore, and then everything's going to be okay. So I think that's what sticks out in my mind. For me, that happened about year 4, or about 4 years in, and I'm coming to the completion of my 15th year. So yeah, next year will be 16 years, and it took 4 years to really make that decision, where I had the conversation with myself enough to say, no more, right? Stop wasting your time, stop wasting your life, and just manage the damn risk. And at that point, then everything has been gravy ever since. Mind you, that's not that it's been gravy ever since. I don't know, but it's never easy. But the equity curve goes up now instead of up and then all the way back down. That's what I mean. That whale was 40x long now. Yeah, but I mean, does he know what he's doing? Is this all one entity? Is it a bunch of entities manipulating people into watching them? Who knows, right? Who knows? Do I day trade sometimes? No, that was another rule I made. Stop day trading because I suck at it. So it's okay to suck, right? Just admit it. Just admit you suck and stop doing it. And that's what I did. Do I train jiu-jitsu? No, I don't. I haven't trained any martial arts for a very long time. Just what are your thoughts on that? I don't know. I don't know anything about Costco. When yearly cycle low on oil, should be on its way down there now. What's your guess on Bitcoin becoming risk off? In my dreams. In my dreams. I don't think we can believe it until we see it. Is now a good time to add gold and silver? Well, it depends on your time horizon. Mobster in the building. Thank you for gifting the 5 memberships, brother. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you boosting my channel early on in my YouTube career. Mobster gave me a shout out and we gapped from 5k to 10k subs practically in a month or something. So I'll always remember that, Mobster. Thank you very much. Any books? No, I'm not a book guy. Russian Powers won twice. Do I like Mark Douglas? I'm not. The name sounds familiar, but I can't place him at this moment. What's my thoughts on Sandbox Superverse? Never heard of it. If you could invite 3 people to dinner, who would it be? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't, because I don't trust any of those famous people. I'd probably invite some traders. Mark Minervini stands out. I like to speak to Bob Lucas, I think. Camel, you won 2 times. You're welcome, brother. Are you just a trader? Do you hold some long term? Yeah, I've got a portfolio just like anyone. Clipping that. Clip that. Gravy is a good phrase. Yeah, gravy and protein. Have I tried day trading? I have. I tried it plenty of times. But I'm no good at it. Do I surf? No, I do not surf. Am I rooting for Aspinall? Yeah. I don't know who he's fighting. I used to follow, during the Conor McGregor phase, I used to follow UFC a lot. But yeah, I've not really been following it lately. I sound 25 years old, do I? What's the main reason you keep mentioning that you'd like to disappear after the bear market? mainly because I think the base case was we're going to have some big global recession and then one final chance to allocate to some assets, and then we're going to have severe inflation and a reset. And I don't know how much more value I can add after that. So I'm kind of thinking, right, let's just assume, let's use Bitcoin as the example, right? Let's use Bitcoin. So let's assume something like this is coming, okay? Wait, I'll put it on a weekly time frame. Oh, it probably won't fit. Will this fit? Yeah, okay. So let's say what happens here is we do something like this, okay? If this is true, then we should be able to help take some profit here, okay? Play the final blow off top, take some profit here, and reallocate at the 4-year cycle low. That's what I do very well. I've got a good track record. I've got a proven track record of being able to do that. But once we get in at that 4-year cycle low, okay, then how much more value can we add, right? Then we get the final omega pump, a chance to exit the matrix, so to speak. And after that, it should be full bore, great reset, CBDCs, all of that craziness. And I just don't know how much help I can be at that stage. I think by that stage, you've either made it or you haven't. And that's why I keep talking about potentially sort of leaving at that point, because I'm just not convinced I'm not convinced I can add that much more value once we get to kind of like 2029, 2030 and beyond, right? By then, you should have exited the rat race, have your money, made your bread and be done and be living comfortably. Or it's probably going to be extremely difficult to. That's what I'm thinking. So that's what I mean when I reference possibly leaving at the end of the next cycle. But I mean, if we get there and it's not happened, or I still think I can add value, then I will. But yeah, that's been my thoughts anyway. Do I hold physical metals? Yeah, I hold all sorts. Any way to email you? Yeah, you can email me if you can get the email address from the About tab on the channel. Yeah, I hold a combination of all sorts of different gold and gold derivatives. Awesome that your 10-year-old likes the song. I've heard quite a few people say their kids like the theme song. That's really cool. Would I have dinner with Pow? I would if he couldn't lie to me. That would be the term. I don't see the point if he can't tell me what's going on. But yeah, I'd like to pick his brain. But if he can lie to me, then I don't care. When fishing content, I don't know. How popular is? I don't know. How much in all? I don't know. How do we protect ourselves? I don't know. Again, I don't know. Big fat pile of gold and cold stored Bitcoin. How much wealth would it take? I mean, that depends. That depends so much. Why? It's not going to be impossible. Trading's not going to be impossible. I just think it's going to be really hard to make money in that environment. That's what I think. I think at that point, the wealth divide is going to be enormous. And I think it's going to be the haves and the have-nots. That's what I've been thinking. It's not even going to be the haves and the have-nots. I think it's going to be the have-yots and the have-nots. That's what I think. Do I hold Pokemon cards? No. No, I don't. Do I ever look at platinum? Nope, I don't track platinum yet, but we will. We will after when we start to get towards QE, then we'll start to track a lot more commodities. Are things as bad in the UK? I don't really think so. I mean, it depends. I don't know. I live in a bubble, right? I don't really watch the news, and I don't really know what's going on. Like when you're saying are things as bad in the UK, I don't really even know what you're referring to. Some parts of the UK are not in good shape, but other parts are just fine. I happen to be very fortunate where I live. Every time I walk into the living room, my girls. What about trading bots? Never really been a fan of them. Don't really know much about them either. Do I have a UK escape plan? Would it be smart to tell you if I did? I don't know. Could be the mark of the beast, for sure. Have I missed XRP analysis? Nope, we didn't do it. We're probably not going to. Copper, again, not yet. We'll do that later. Thoughts on Chinese equities? Not something I track, to be honest. All the leading stocks have broken their hyperwaves. Okay. Yeah, no, consistency will remain the same during summer. It doesn't really take a lot of effort for me, so I can, I can spend like 2 or 3 hours posting and checking in on stuff every day, and then go and sit in the sun. I can even take a laptop and go down the pub if I wanted to and do it there. So yeah, don't expect any frequency drop off as we approach the hotter months. What are you, dog? Hey, what are you doing back there? Good boy. Yeah, I don't know, man. My life in the UK is very nice. I don't really have any complaints. What do I think about tokenization? It's not something I follow that closely. I would imagine we eventually get to a place of tokenization of everything. That seems to be the plan. I don't know if that is something that could be accomplished in the next 5 years, or whether that will actually take 50 years, maybe. I have no idea, anywhere in between. So, yeah. I see a lot of people asking what car I drive. I've always made a point of never really saying things like that, because I always wanted my work to stand alone. I don't want you to judge based on what cars I drive. Take the work or don't, Can we get a Dixie check? Yeah. Half cycle. I'm going to guess, before looking, I'm going to guess half cycle low. Let's see. Daily reset. How many days are we on? Yeah, half cycle low, roughly, could be. So this kind of makes sense, I think. And then we'll see. And then what am I doing? And then we'll see. Then we'll see if we can get a push. To be honest, though, this kind of looks like it's invalidated the whole accumulation bit, doesn't it? It almost feels to me like this could be... Wait, like this could be coming? And I mean, that could be insanely bullish, if true. But who knows? Who knows? How far can gold retrace? It can crash 30% if it needs to, but I don't think that's coming for a little while. Is my wife Romanian? No. Do I trade currency? Nah, not really. Never really tried. Well, I've tried, but I've never really had success trading FX pairs, so kind of stay away from it. I reckon if we get a deflationary crash, though, I will probably want to hold a good chunk of dollars, but I don't really consider that a trade. I think that would just be finding a way to hold some dollars and holding them. Is silver and silver miners part of the sector risk? Yes, it is. Yeah. How convinced are you that this is the proper weekly cycle low? Well, it's not confirmed yet, so I can't really have any degree of confidence. Welcome, JC. A lot of investors and traders promote getting into real estate and owning property. Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of people that have chosen to do that. For me, the risk reward has never been there, right? And I'll explain my thought for that. Let's say I take, I don't know, 300k and buy a property, and then I rent it out. Then, well, actually, I suppose most people wouldn't buy a whole house with 300k. Most people would get a buy-to-let mortgage, and then you'd have that monthly outgoing, which hopefully the renters would cover. But I'm not one for debt, so I would buy the whole. Let's say I buy the whole property, right, which makes my profit margins, a bit better than somebody that had to mortgage it. Then I got a few options, right? I can rent this property out, but I would need to have landlord insurance. I would probably want an agency to handle it all, because I don't have time and I can't be bothered. And by the time I've collected the rent, paid the agency, paid the landlord insurance, then I don't really have much return on my capital. And I think if I put that 300k pretty much anywhere else, I can get significantly more return than the what would be 4 to 8% a year, right? I mean, I could probably get that by tracking the S&P 500. I'd probably beat that by tracking the S&P and the NASDAQ. So for me, it's never really been an efficient use of capital to take 300k, buy a property, and then rent it out. And I know there's appreciation on the property over time, but I think in the UK it's 40% capital gains tax when you sell a property like that. So I don't know, man. Seems like better off paying the 24% on crypto. It's just never been for me. And I know plenty of people. I actually have friends that own rental properties and they don't have any of the agency and the landlord insurance. They just kind of like got a guy down the pub that they trust. But what they don't realize is how much risk they're taking. Because if they ended up getting to a stage where their tenant says, oh, I can't pay, in the UK, you can't even do anything about it for 6 months. You can't even get a court order to have them evicted for 6 months. And in many cases, if you then go to court and try to get them evicted, they can just pay, right? Or say, oh, we'll start to pay, we'll send some money your way. And then it resets the whole thing all over again. So for me, I've never been that interested in property. I think I can get much better return without taking the kind of risk and locking up the amount of capital that I need to in other places. But to each their own, right? If I didn't have any trading skills and I wasn't confident in moving money around between accounts, then maybe that would be a lot more attractive to me. Camel drives the duster. Yeah, in terms of like spiritual practice, I believe in God, a creator. I believe in a co-creator relationship. I believe in the law of attraction and natural law. So yeah, I believe in all of that stuff. Maybe that's why I suck at Forex trading, because I never use fair value gaps. Did I see NVIDIA's robot? No, I didn't. What are my thoughts about the pyramids? I don't know anything about them. I haven't been paying attention. I do not drive a BMW M5. Do you think the lack of left translation is simply due to the market's immaturity? Or it could just be extra bullish, right? It could just be extra bullish. And we're building to a massive monster blow off top, all-time high in the left translation in the next cycle, where it takes us from, I don't know, 100k to 800 plus in a year. Maybe that's what we're building to. I said 5 more minutes an hour ago. Has it actually been an hour? Yeah, it has. Okay. All right. Well, we probably should end this thing. Did I just hit 30k subs? Yeah. Did I? Did we? Okay. That might be a nice place to end. Hey, 30k subs. Let's go. Thank you all. We'll do a party at some point. We're always a bit late to the party. I might save it to a 35k. I don't know. You're wrong on property. No, I mean, I'm not claiming to be right. I was just giving my opinion. I'm sure there are plenty of rich property investors, but even if you're a property investor, have you been doing it for a long time, or would you get into property now? I'm not convinced it's the best, most efficient way, but it's just my opinion, right? 30k subs is crazy. Not to mention second home stamp duty. Yeah, I just think me personally, I could probably outperform your property portfolio in other places, but to each their own. To each their own. During C19, you had a tenant not pay for 18 months, killed all my profit. Yeah, this is what I'm worried about. I'm sure there are ways around it, but like I said, for me, it's just something I'm not super interested in personally. But I would actually much rather buy a property and keep it empty, and then I know it's mine, and over time it'll probably store the value. I would actually much rather do that. But logging off, yeah, I really think I really think we should log off as well. We'll see, I guess. Yeah, thank you all. No, we're not doing another video today. No, we're not. What a year. Yeah, it's been crazy. So thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate the support. The time has flown by for me. Hopefully you got some value out of today. Thank you all for the support. 30k subs is wild. We will no doubt have a party at some point in the not too distant future. Other than that, yeah, have a great weekend to you guys as well. Thank you all for being here. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you. I guess we'll do a deep dive tomorrow. We'll do a level 3 members video tomorrow as well. And other than that, I'm your boy Camel. Until next time, peace.